Hello, Java friends. It's your classmate and friend Matt Hill coming at you here with an indie project demo of sorts. My indie project is Salon Solutions, and basically this came about. Long and the short of this problem statement is there are a lot of independent stylists, hairstylists, and other beauty professionals out there who, they're a small business. They're a business unto themselves, and they're not necessarily in a position to pay an arm and a leg for custom scheduling software. And a lot of the existing software that's out there that caters to such folks also caters to spas and massage parlors and yoga studios and fitness centers. I mean, it's kind of a one size fits all sort of a software, and unfortunately, that doesn't work very well for salon professionals who are trying to provide a more, at least some of the nuanced custom experience of a salon visit rather than of visiting any of those other establishments. So, my goal here was to come up with a way that inexpensively a stylist could have a more customized kind of application that would allow users to register themselves as a guest, determine what services they might be interested in that stylist offers, and then find a time that works for them. And on the stylist end, in theory, they could see all of the different users. They could edit them or delete them or add new ones. They could see all the existing reservations, add new ones, edit existing ones, delete any that shouldn't be there, and integrate this easily with like a Google Calendar or some other kind of personal calendar, because a lot of folks aren't necessarily going to pay for custom calendar software. They already have a Google account. Maybe they just want to integrate it with their Google Calendar. So my API, here's some of the technologies I used. I mentioned some existing softwares out there that are competition, I guess you could say. So we implemented some Realm authentication here, and then are implementing full CRUD as best we can. I got to be perfectly honest, I am not code ready as of this demo, but I will do my darndest to show you what I have. And roles, as I mentioned, MySQL for the database, of course, storing users' roles, and services, which have timings and descriptions, as well as a full log of reservations that's then parsed. If you're a guest, then your user ID will be what's used to query your reservations from that log. Otherwise, the admin will see one large log of reservations, or could be able to search, of course. Hibernate for our object relational mapping framework. Maven for our dependency management. Bootstrap for CSS. Google Calendar API, as I mentioned, via a service account, and I'll get to what that means in just a second. Still working on data validation and getting logging implemented, and hosting on AWS. For some reason, my MySQL server is having time glitches on AWS, so my JSecurity check is not going to allow me to get very far, but I'll demo that for you in a moment. And independent research topics included continuous integration and continuous deployment, CI/CD, using GitHub Actions to communicate to my AWS EC2 instance, as well as virtual hosting to point a custom domain name to my AWS EC2 instance, and then JUnit tests to achieve darn good code coverage. So why don't we kind of dive into this stuff first. Let's see. We'll pull up My Salon Solutions. It's not mentioned here, but it is on the student repo. MySalonSolutions.com is where my project is. So here I am publicly, and as I mentioned, it's I've got a ways to go yet, but we'll do the best I can. So if I try to log in, as I mentioned, even though I'm using credentials that ought to work, it's going to tell me the login's failed, and I'm linking that to an append server time zone equals UTC issue that I was able to straighten out on my local machine, but for some reason my AWS machine has yet to get there. So we'll get that buttoned up soon. But at any rate, this is where it will be deployed. And to just demonstrate the CI/CD portion of it for just a second, we will jump into our index page, and instead of Salon Solutions, maybe we'll do Salon Solutions app. Or we can, instead of You'll Look and Feel Fabulous, we will go to You'll Look and Feel Fantastic. There, that'll be an easy enough demo. Fantastic. Okay, we're saving. We're gonna git add, git commit, and adds fantastic to look and feel description. Okay, so we'll get that pushed, and as soon as I push, that's going to start GitHub Actions implementing a new build, which will then push automatically to my Amazon EC2 instance. So I don't have to manually log into my EC2 instance and deploy the WAR file, which is kind of handy. So we'll check that. It takes a minute or two for that to build, so we'll check that in a moment. In the meantime, I am going to get Tomcat running. Here I can demonstrate the code coverage that I have so far. They're definitely in the process of writing more tests, so I will run a couple of these though for you. Let's run our user DAO test. Oops, should probably run it with coverage. Let's try that again in just a second here. So good, we got green check marks, that's important. We'll run with coverage. There we go. Let's try that again, and it'll walk down the line, and we've got, there, 100%, 91%, 86%, looking pretty good. Let's try roll DAO, and running some unit tests there. Okay, that's looking nice too. 100%, 83%, 78%, so pretty darn good. Generic reservation DAO I'm still implementing. I don't think that one's quite ready for prime time, but we'll run it anyway. Yeah, so gotta keep working on that one and a few other ones. So we have our database structure. If I get a diagram up here, you can kind of see what we have rocking. So we have our user, and a user is assigned a role, and a user is capable of generating a reservation, and that reservation is going to pertain to services that are offered by the stylist, and then that particular service that is chosen is going to have timings that have defaults. 45 minutes is the standard default, but those timings will pertain to that guest themselves, because not everybody has the same amount of hair, right? So some people have shorter hair, some people have longer, some people just take longer to process, etc. So the stylist would be able to edit those timings accordingly as necessary. V2, we have a spot for retail products, but we're not going to worry about linking that in just now. If I run this on my local machine, let me build and then we'll run. We can do a couple of things here. So we will run Tomcat. It'll deploy any moment now. So here we are, and I can sign up to become a guest. So to demo that, I'm going to just bring up my Salon Solutions database right now. Let's get our console window open, and we will select all from user, and there's all our users. So we're going to choose a user who doesn't exist right now, so just take note. We'll go Jill Sanderson, Jill rocks at hotmail.com, and password Jill rocks. And normally, of course, we would have we'd be hiding passwords here, so I will be implementing that momentarily. And then we request an account, and in the moment now success, you're officially registered, welcome. And then I have yet to be able to make our first reservation, of course, and edit our profile to answer more questions about ourselves. But if we go back and we look at, if we select all from user again, you can see that Jill rocks at hotmail.com has been added. That is our unique identifier. And in the code, we are testing for, as we sign up a user, we're testing to make sure that the email is unique. And if it's not, we send a message back saying, try again, that already exists. There's already an account with this email address. We also make sure that the passwords match. And again, we want to do this on the client side too. I'll be implementing that shortly. And if all of that checks out, then we use our generic DAO with the role class and the user class, and we get that new user inserted and assign a role to it. And that role is guest. There's two roles, admin and guest. Pretty much everyone's going to be a guest. There's only one administrator, and that would be the stylist herself or himself. So we have a long way to go yet. That's about as far as I can get. Oh, I guess I can show you what it looks like to be logged in as the stylist. So right now I'll log in as myself, but ultimately it'll be someone who actually knows how to do hair logging into this. And this is our kind of basic user search. So if I want to see all the users, if I want to search by how many users I have in the database with the letter H in their last name, hey, there we go. I'm still working on implementing an edit user functionality. And then if I want to view all my users, hey, there they all are. And there's my Jill Rocks right there. So that is about the extent of what I have. I look forward to continuing to chug right along here and get this code ready as best I can for Wednesday. I appreciate you watching and look forward to any feedback you might have. And yeah, oh, I'm sorry, last but not least, let's talk about my API implementation. So once we get some of those other things that I've mentioned implemented, the API call looks like this. So we've got this calendar service test. This calendar service class is up here, and this is going to be or that's client services, excuse me. We've got this Google calendar service class, and that's ultimately going to be making the calls here to Google, to the calendar. So I set up this Gmail account, thehandyhairdresser@gmail.com, and pretending to be my wife who does hair. So not much going on. I did load it up with some dummy data, and you'll notice there's nothing scheduled for the 17th right now of May. And if we run this calendar service test, if I jump into here, you'll kind of see how it's going. We're gonna load up an event and a calendar service, and we're gonna set our summary of that event and a description. I had wanted to originally get attendees to be addable or subtractable, and unfortunately the level of OAuth that I've been able to achieve with Google is a service account, which means if I go to using OAuth for web server applications, there's different levels of authorization, and one of them that they had recommended was using a service account. But I've come to find out, unfortunately, that unless you have your domain located as part of a G Suite domain, So G Suite domain administrators can grant service accounts domain-wide authority to access user data on behalf of the users in the domain. And that really would have been nice because that would have meant that I could add attendees, etc., and those attendees could automatically receive email notifications, etc., etc. Unfortunately, I didn't realize you gotta have that G Suite domain, and you can't just convert a simple account over to G Suite, evidently. So I have credentials, numerous credentials. I tried a straight API key. I tried, doing some other OAuth 2.0 authentication. Didn't get very far with that. The one way that I've been able to do this is to get it to work with a service account. So that's what I've been using. It accesses those credentials, loads up an event, and as you'll see, I'm going to run this because I'm running out of time. So run this quick, and in just a moment, as that processes, and we go back to our calendar here, you'll see it populate in just a second. Well, probably because I deleted it. Let me comment out the delete function. I delete it right away. So one more time, we're gonna run, and you'll notice there's nothing on the 17th, and in just a second it will pop up. It will pop up. Oh, there it is. It just took a second. All right, it was being shy, I guess. So there's our new event, and as I mentioned earlier, I had it deleting right away. So I do have adding and deleting. Modifying events, unfortunately, doesn't work so great with service accounts, so what I'm going to have to do is delete an event and then re-add it if I want to modify it, which is not ideal, I realize, but it'll be something. And as you can see, I've just got system.out.print lines at the moment, but we've got our various other dummy data coming back. Sally O'Malley, Kelly Queen, Kim Basinger, they're all there, folks, and there they are, Kelly Queen, Kim Basinger. So it's fetching the next so many, I think it's 10 or 15 events, and bring that back. So I do have an API linked up. It's just a matter of getting it all to play nice in the web app itself. And I do appreciate you watching, and best of luck with everything. Thank you.